They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It's 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, June 26, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Jeff and Bill Show is Denver's top talk radio show because it includes everybody. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, everybody's a part of the conversation. You're welcome to join us as well. Give us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, we're talking with the Colorado Farm Bureau. How the farmers of Colorado doing? What are the big issues they're facing? Most importantly, how's the Colorado Farm Bureau supporting them and how you can become a member of the Colorado Farm Bureau? Not going to want to miss this conversation. Now is time for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Thursday morning, 67 and clear. Gorgeous outside in Denver, expecting a high of 86 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, DJT, will hold an event at the White House later today as he tries to get his big, beautiful bill passed. The measure passed the House and now sits in the Senate, where Republicans can only afford to lose 3 votes. Democrats say the bill cuts Medicaid and other social safety nets by billions of dollars. 47 is standing by his assertion that Iran's nuclear program was destroyed by U.S. airstrikes. NBC's Peter Alexander reports that the CIA now appears to be backing up the president's claim.
Citing new intelligence from a historically reliable and accurate source method. Director John Ratcliffe saying, quote, Iran's nuclear program has been severely damaged, adding several key Iranian nuclear facilities were destroyed and would have to be rebuilt over the course of years.
No way. Well, that isn't what CNN and MSNBC told me.
Ratcliffe did not offer any evidence, but the president said they have spoken to people on the ground.
We've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated.
Iran has also acknowledged its nuclear sites were badly damaged.
Of course. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the strike should be celebrated by Americans. This after the treasonous leak by a traitor. Hegseth described the operation as historic. He got into it with the press this morning.
The instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times, is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons, to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. All of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep, because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated.
Lawmakers received briefings today and tomorrow on the strikes. So, hey, time to celebrate a little bit.
Now you have 12 hours. You don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on it. The biggest vote that we've seen. You know what? I've been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
My new favorite DJT song. That was awesome.
Were you twerking during that? I'm just asking.
Yeah, I was. How did you know?
Too.
You could see.
Well, the thing was, I can see on the camera. I was too. I had to admit. It's catchy.
It is catchy.
It's catchy. It is very well done. Yeah.
I got to give him credit, man.
Yeah.
That got me going.
Oh, yeah.
I was on the highway, and I was like, I got to send that to Jeff.
It's fantastic. Thank you so much.
The funny thing is, when I saw that, the first thing I thought in my head was, Blake's going to love this.
Oh, yeah.
We've worked together long enough
Yes,
for me
he's
to
gonna
know
love
the
this.
type of content. And then lo and behold, bing.
That was fantastic.
Blake.
That's good. I always pray that you guys aren't near your kids when I send you stuff.
Here's the thing: it's actually okay. I am sometimes because the rules in our house are very, very loose at times as far as things that happen. So yeah.
Okay, I won't worry about you.
No, do not worry about me. Do not worry about me, sir. No, I understand. I am their father. You cannot be a bad influence. I've already got that whole thing covered.
Very good point. Very good point. I don't want to be a bad influence.
No, that's all me, man.
All right. Hey, Liz Collin, she is such an important reporter, really, from Minneapolis. She's been so mistreated. It's just amazing. Telling the truth after truth on the corrupt Minnesota government and all the lies about St. George Floyd and Tampon Tim and his background and how that city has been ruined by communists. Incredible interview with Tucker on Wednesday. And this is a fact that I did not know. It blew me away.
Yes, no, and many Minnesota corporations, fed into that. You see some of that going away now, thankfully. But you had George Floyd Memorial Field at Target Field, where the Minnesota Twins play.
Not really.
Really, for years.
The drug addict, porn star, armed robber, they named the field after him? Mm-hmm. He's the civic hero in Minnesota?
They had a banner. Again, thankfully, that's now been taken down.
But they called it George Floyd Memorial Field?
Correct.
I had no idea. Unbelievable. You can watch that interview on Tucker on X, on his X account. It's incredible. After 6 weeks of testimony, closing arguments are being heard in the Sean Combs, a.k.a. Diddy, sex crimes trial. He's in big trouble. A Colorado law firm is planning to sue the State Bureau of Investigation over the conviction of a man who later died in prison. The Mayor Jolly law firm filed notice of its intent to sue over the Alan Phillips case on Wednesday. Phillips was convicted of double murder in 2022 and sentenced to life in prison, where he died in 2023. Phillips' daughter believes he was wrongfully convicted, in part due to the testimony of former CBI forensic scientist Yvonne Missy Woods. Woods currently facing dozens of criminal charges related to mishandling DNA evidence during her time with the CBI. The attorney representing Phillips's daughter said Woods will also be named as a defendant in the suit. As predicted, Duke's Cooper Flagg, selected as the number one pick overall in the NBA draft last night, to the Dallas Mavericks he goes. The Nuggets did not have a pick in the draft. And the Rockies take on the Dodgers again this afternoon. First pitch at 1:10. They lose last night 8-1. 65 in Centennial, 66 in Brighton, 67 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Thunderstorms are going to take a little bit of a break here in Denver and along the Front Range as drier air comes over the divide and into the Front Range. Sunny, mid to upper 80s today. Sunny, 85 to 90 for Friday. Lower to mid 90s Saturday. Today through Saturday, likely dry. Upper 80s Sunday with thunderstorms returning. More thunderstorms likely next week. Weather, sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We all love the farmers, and I've asked the Colorado Farm Bureau to come in and give us an update on how farmers are doing in Colorado, how we can support the farmers, and most importantly, the great work that the Colorado Farm Bureau is doing. And live in studio is Taylor Szilagyi. Did I get that right?
Nailed it.
Got it.
Bravo.
Great name. Where's that from? What's the background?
It's Hungarian. I should have made my husband stick with Lobato. It was way easier than moving to Szilagyi.
Szilagyi was a great last name. I love it. You're the executive vice president and current CEO?
I am. That's correct.
Of the Colorado Farm Bureau. Well, thank you so much for joining us live in studio, as well as Melissa Weaver, the director of communications, making sure we get it all right.
That's right.
That's her job,
She's
right?
my check.
I'm going to start with this. How are farmers doing in Colorado?
It's up and down, but right now it's a little rough. Like any business, right? Continuous understanding of where we're going is really important. Making sure stability is really important. And I'm sure, as you all have been talking about, we don't have a whole lot of stability right now, both in Colorado and nationally.
Talk about the instability. What is it? Is it on where you can sell goods and what you farm, the ability to get stuff in to farm? Talk about that instability.
Sure, all of the above. So Colorado is obviously very different politically than the nation is right now. So you've got Colorado, we've got wolves, we've got water, we've got all the W's coming in. Farming and ranchers are looking at each other going, what the heck? Like, are my livestock going to be alive here in a little bit? Like, what are crop prices going to look like? The markets are all over the place. And so that makes planning your business difficult. Yeah. Then you look at the national level, and questions are, where am I going to sell? What are prices going to look like? What impacts am I going to have on contracts moving forward, for better, for worse, right? There's just questions. And so it makes it hard for our guys to sit down and try to figure out what the next couple of years and what the next 6 months are going to look like for them.
And when you say our guys, let's talk about that. Is it farmers and ranchers?
It is.
So it's a little bit of everybody, huh?
Yeah, so
there?
Colorado Farm Bureau is the largest general ag organization in the state. So if it's grown in Colorado Farm Bureau's got a member that grows it. So everything from your favorite peaches to melons to cattle to goats. I hear you have goats.
We do. We raise Nigerian dwarfs, and they don't. I mean, they're just pets at our house right now. I'm like, come on, let's turn them in, because I didn't know about it. I grew up in Cherry Hills and lived in Highlands Ranch, Washington, D.C. I'm a late to the game rancher. It's because my wife loves all the animals. And then we got Nigerian dwarf goats, and I'm like, oh, we got goats. But if you want to raise a goat for meat, you don't raise Nigerian dwarfs.
That's fair.
If you want to raise them for dairy, you don't raise Nigerian dwarfs. So they just wander around our properties. They actually live quite well.
Hey, that's great. Good land management. See, I like it.
There you go. So you cover all that. And your job with Colorado Farm Bureau, you advocate on their behalf down at the state capitol. What else do y'all do?
We do. So we're a membership organization, and like you said, we advocate. That's our primary goal. We've got a board of directors from all over the state, grow everything from cattle, again, to crops, we even have a financial advisor on our board. And so that really directs our organization to go down to the Capitol. We've got a lobbyist there. We've also got an affiliate, the American Farm Bureau Federation in D.C. So we work really closely with our federal delegation, too, to make sure that the environment here in Colorado allows our farmers and ranchers to keep farming and ranching, growing food.
Let's talk about how policy can affect farmers and ranchers. Like, what are the issues they're facing in Colorado? Has the Colorado legislature been responsive to their needs?
That's a tough question, and the majority is likely no, right? We don't have a lot of friends at the Capitol these days. Everybody knows wolves are a hot topic for us. When the ballot initiative passed in 2020, we have been really struggling to deal with the way Colorado Parks and Wildlife is implementing that program. We've got tons of depredations, which means wolf kills up in the northwest part of the state. Here in Colorado, and then here at the legislature, we're dealing with things like fighting for private property rights, which is something we've never had to do in Colorado before, right? Like, with the influx of recreation, we're making sure that our private landowners can keep their land, can keep the value of their land. And the legislature doesn't necessarily understand that these days. They tend to prioritize things like recreation. And I think we always hear this urban-rural divide, right? But I think from our perspective, the bigger concern is that we don't have very many legislators legislating that come from agriculture. So there's just a lack of understanding.
Wow. That's a really important point. That voice you're hearing is Taylor Szilagyi. She's the executive vice president, now current CEO of the Colorado Farm Bureau. Let's talk about the industry in kind of sense of numbers. Help people understand what's produced in Colorado. Like, how big is it? How important is it to our economy? Those types of things.
Oh, yeah. So Colorado agriculture is the second largest industry in the state. We are worth more than $40 billion from start to finish. Yeah, huge. Primarily cattle, everything from what we call cow-calf producers. Those are when you're driving down up in the mountains and you see like the beautiful landscapes and you see the cows and their babies out in the field. Those are our cow-calf guys, all the way up to production, where you're processing those animals for meat. So that industry in Colorado is huge. But then we've got a great fruit and veg economy too. Palisade Peaches is really big. The Western Slope in their fruit and vegetable world. We have a pork facility out in Yuma, Colorado, which is all the way out east, almost to the Nebraska border. We've got melons down in the southeast, potatoes in the San Luis Valley, where I'm from. We got it all.
Are you from the San Luis Valley?
I am.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is like old school families down there.
It is.
Right?
1600s. Yeah, we've been around for a while.
Very cool. Is that how you got into it? You grew up on a ranch?
I did, yeah. Grew up on a ranch down
What
on
kind?
the northern. Beef cattle. We've raised generic Angus cross.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then decided, I want to go sit in an office.
I really like the air conditioning, Jeff.
Yeah, right.
And the heat. If you've been in the San Luis Valley for a winter, -40 is not fun. So,
wow.
Yeah, this is my place. We advocate, and I love the policy side.
How
of
long
it.
have you been with the Colorado Farm Bureau?
Almost 10 years now.
10 years. And did you just move into the role as CEO? Have you been in that role? Tell us about your leadership of the Colorado Farm Bureau.
Yeah, happy to. I actually started out in Melissa's position. I came in as the director of communications and moved into the executive vice president CEO role about 2 years ago.
Great.
Yeah, it's a great place to be.
So I look at Colorado, and I'm a big fan of rodeo and National Western Stock Show and that entire lifestyle. Like I said, I'm a walking Alan Jackson song.
Love
like
it.
I went country, right? I wasn't born into it. I went it.
We welcome you.
Yeah, and you're very welcoming people. And if you ever go to rodeo, it's a perfect picture of Americana, right? Kids with the cotton candy and celebrating, honoring our country and soldiers, and then the great ag lifestyle. When I see the National Western Stock Show come, though, it seems like Colorado lawmakers, the mayor, take that pretty seriously. They recognize the importance of it to our communities. They show up down there. Now, granted, they look just as goofy as I do, dressed like a cowboy, but they seem to understand the importance of ag to our community with entities like the National Western Stock Show. And I remember a few years ago, I think Oklahoma City wanted to try to take it. And Denver seemed to rally around it. Now they're putting a lot of money into repurposing and improving the National Western Stock Show grounds. So it doesn't feel like it's totally lost on the city folks, the importance of ag. So they come around every once in a while and seem to embrace it. Talk about that dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to. And it's a great point, right? And we're lucky at the Colorado Farm Bureau that farmers and ranchers are some of the most trusted profession in the country. We're right up there with like firefighters, which is great. Now that doesn't stop people from telling us how to do our jobs or how they think we should do our jobs. So it's always this push and pull, right? It's sexy, frankly, to look at the West and see a cowboy on his horse out working cows. But sometimes people forget that connection is making food, right? And understandably so. People care about what goes in their bodies. They care about what they feed their family. And so there's always this push and pull between those out on the farm, out on the ranch, who frankly like to do their job. We don't go out and live in rural Colorado to be bothered, right? And so a lot of times telling our story is hard and telling their story is hard, which is where we come in. But yeah, you've got those events, you've got rodeos, you've got stock show, you've got your local county fairs, right? I think during COVID, we saw people start to care about buying local food more than they were in the past, and which is great. We want people to be interested. And it's always that, again, push and pull between making sure that our guys can stay in business in the way they want to, but also keeping that history and keeping that the
essence of the West, right?
Yeah, that essence of the West, right? It's a push and pull.
Yeah, that voice you're hearing is Taylor Szilagyi. She's an executive vice president of the Colorado Farm Bureau here in Colorado. We're talking farmers, ranchers. I absolutely love these people. You brought up a really interesting point. Food. you talk to most kids these days and ask them where their food comes from, and it's Walmart. It's grocery store. Like meat is packaged in styrofoam. They don't understand the steps that it took to get that food to their table. Talk about how you, with the Colorado Farm Bureau, are helping to educate people to understand the process of where their food comes from and why that's so important. I mean, we're right now in the MAHA movement, right? We're making America healthy again. Part of that is quality, locally sourced food. That's why I love the Black Eyed Pea, one of our sponsors here. It's because that food comes from Colorado ranchers and farmers. So how do you educate, especially the next generation, where their food comes from?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a statistic that like 2/3 of kids say that brown chocolate milk comes from brown cows, right? Which is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. So that is part of what we do. Not only do we advocate with legislators and those grass top leaders, but we go out and we have a great leadership development, agriculture education program. One of the things we do is a program called Senior Field Studies, where we get seniors from Bear Creek High School to go out and live with members for a week. They go out and they do everything, right? They go to church with them. They go out and they do chores, everything. They become a part of the family, which is an incredible experience to both teach this group of students what it's like to live on a farm or ranch, to talk about the kinds of things that you can do, what the whole supply food chain looks like. And then we also have some programs within one of our leadership development women's committee groups that go out and work with ag education literacy programs here in the state and give books about real agriculture to school kids, right? Anything that we can do to tell our story is important. And that's part of us, is poking our members, right? Like, come on, guys, you got to say it. We know you're busy growing food, but let's tell the story.
We're talking with Taylor Szilagyi. She's the Executive Vice President of the Colorado Farm Bureau. She's live in studio along with Melissa Weaver, Director in Communications of the Colorado Farm Bureau, checking in, getting a temperature on how the farmers are doing, what are the issues that they're facing. All right, big discussion in Congress right now is the big, beautiful bill. Is there anything coming out of that you have heard may affect farmers?
Yeah, there's lots of it. I don't know if you've heard, but we haven't passed a farm bill in quite some time, which is a huge.
Tell us about that. Why is that so important?
The farm bill is incredibly important to our crew, right? As I'm sure your listeners know or maybe have heard, there's a nutrition part of the program, and then there's the farm program part. And for us, the farm program part is really that safety net, right? It gives our farmers the ability to go out and not worry about a crop getting decimated by hail every year, because we've got protections for it. We know that they can go out and take risks about producing things and commodities for this country to be able to eat and fuel and fiber our country, knowing that they've got this safety net to support them. It also does a lot of great things like promote conservation programs and make sure farmers get paid for those conservation programs. And we haven't had it. It was due a couple years ago, and we've been waiting for it to pass. So, Big Beautiful Bill has helped give us some supplemental dollars in important things like research. I was just up in Fort Collins at Ag Next, which is a part of the university doing important methane research for the industry to help them become more efficient in everything that they do. And so there's some good research dollars, some good acknowledgement of programs that haven't been passed with this farm bill that the Big Beautiful Bill has tried to at least tack on to be able to support our crew.
Right. So some important things there for your industry.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this question. What's something that we grow in Colorado that people may not know we grow in Colorado?
That's a great question.
We all know we grow certain plants in Colorado. So.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do.
We're on the map for that, but peaches being a big one. What else?
Peaches, chili, Pueblo chili. If you haven't heard about our debate with New Mexico green chilies, ours are better. I have it in my freezer to prove it. What else do we grow here that surprises folks?
Watermelons was a big one with Greg Brophy. Do you remember Greg Brophy at all? Do you know that
Greg's
name?
Fantastic. Yeah. Fun fact, I took family photos for Greg not too long, a couple of years ago when I started at Farm Bureau. Greg's a great Farm Bureau friend.
Yeah.
I'll throw one in that
lawmaker.
surprised me.
Yeah.
Cherries. I
Yeah,
did
there
not
you go.
know. I did not know that our climate was going to be conducive for growing cherries. There is a valley in southern Colorado that produces tons and tons of cherries. And when Taylor was talking about the issue of support for investment and things, I remember hearing a story recently from a farmer who talked about a hailstorm rolling through and taking out her entire crop. She said it was really difficult to see months and months of planning and hard work and money that was spent all to be taken out in 10 minutes. She said it was a fast-moving hailstorm. She lost her entire crop. But she said, and this is, again, talking about the heart of the farmers, her answer was, yeah, we lost our crop. Yes, this season is going to suck. But thank goodness everybody didn't lose their crop here. The cherry crop will survive in southern Colorado. I may be hurt, but my neighbor did just fine. My other neighbor did just fine. As a community growing cherries, we're going to be okay. Yeah, it hurts me, but at least the rest of the farmers are going to be continuing. That shared a lot about it, and I was surprised. I had no idea we grew cherries here. No clue. No clue at all.
Wow.
Yeah, they're great. Sweet corn, cherries. Yeah, we've got a great climate for really great fruit like that.
And it is the second largest generator, I'm guessing, behind tourism.
Nailed it.
To Colorado's budget. And you mentioned $40 billion a year comes in from ag.
That's right.
Gosh, I mean, we should do anything we can to support you all, keep it going. When we come back, I want to talk water and how important water is to the farmers you're dealing with. I was a river guide for 5 summers. I know how important it was to the rec industry, especially in the Arkansas. That water drains up. It not only affects the whitewater rafting community up there, but then you get into all the farmers down as well in the Eastern Plains. So we'll continue that conversation. Live in studio with us is Taylor Szilagyi. She's the Executive Vice President of the Colorado Farm Bureau, along with Melissa Weaver, Director of Communications. Gosh, love our farmers and ranchers. So glad to have you all here. We're going to continue this conversation. You're welcome to join us. Give us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. One of the reasons I absolutely love this restaurant is because they're locally sourced. They buy food from our local farmers and ranchers, and it is delicious. It's home-style cooking at its best. It's the Black Eyed Pea of Colorado. 8 locations all along the I-25 corridor. There's sure to be one near you. Bottom line, you want to take the family to eat at the Black Eyed Pea. Go online at blackeyedpeacolorado.com. Check out their featured menu. They're running through different seasons in Colorado right now. Special barbecue. They've also got burgers, potato menus, and more. They've built a reputation in Colorado for the best home-cooked meal away from home. They also do catering. If it's a dinner party, rehearsal dinner, wedding reception, or company event, make it a success with Black Eyed Pea Catering. And no matter what the occasion, Black Eyed Pea gift cards are always great for your special someone. Birthday favors or holiday presents, they have you covered. I love everything about this restaurant. It's Maha time. Make it healthy. Make it locally sourced. Black Eyed Pea of Colorado's delivering for you. All right, we'll continue the conversation. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. I'm showing them pictures of our little ranch and all of our chickens and goats and stuff like that. We're having a great conversation with the folks from the Colorado Farm Bureau. You gotta love America's farmers. You gotta love Colorado's farmers. They're producing the food we eat. Unleash their power and potential.
See, the thing, they're also got their
grow, baby, grow.
Yeah, they're doing hard work. I mean, this is something where, and again, I've talked about it before, that there is a farm that is out in eastern Colorado that's very close to my heart. Grew up with the guys that are running it right now. We ran around inside the barns and spent weeks out there over the summers, and it was some of the hardest but most rewarding work I've ever done in my life. And when they talk about sun up to sundown, yeah, and it's 365 days a year. The cool thing is,
don't care. It's Christmas.
They don't care, and there's no time clock. There's absolutely zero time clock when you're trying to raise the crops or you're trying to get the calves. It's everything else, but it is a community that is vital to the development of Colorado. In fact, if we didn't have the farmers and ranchers here, Denver really wouldn't exist, because it would have been too hard for the city to blossom and bloom without an easy access to a food source. It's because of what happened on the Eastern Plains that allowed Denver to have the growth. We're not here in spite of the farmers. We're here because of them. Remember that.
That's great, Bill. Colorado Farm Bureau is working for you. Colorado Farm Bureau works to improve our state's economy, natural resources, environment, and social institutions through work on education, youth development, environmental quality, sustainability, healthcare, and rural development. Colorado Farm Bureau is helping make Colorado a great place to live. I want to encourage everybody, go to coloradofarmbureau.com/join right now. coloradofarmbureau.com/join. Become a member today. You don't have to be a member of the ag community to join. Everybody's welcome, because supporting the Colorado Farm Bureau means that our Colorado's farmers and ranchers have a voice, especially down at the state capitol. So you're protecting their rights. You're improving the quality of the food we get to eat. All of that through becoming a member at the Colorado Farm Bureau. So whether you live in the city or out on the range, join coloradofarmbureau.com/join. I'm a member. Come support the great people there.
And remember this, just like Jeff says, he's all hat, no cattle. You can do that too.
100%.
It's okay for us city slickers to claim the mantle of supporting the farmers and being ranchers.
Boy is not nearly as cool as Cowboy.
No, that doesn't work as well at all. No, not at all.
We got live in studio with us Taylor Szilagyi. She's the Executive Vice President and Acting CEO of the Colorado Farm Bureau. I guess you are the CEO. You're not just the acting CEO. You are the CEO. And Melissa Weaver, Director of Communications at Colorado Farm Bureau. So text messages coming in. Love you two. They say, as a Pueblo girl, please tell the girls there I would fight someone over the fact that Pueblo chili is superior to Hatch.
Hell yeah.
So don't forget the cantaloupe.
Yes, the cantaloupe. Yeah, and I got your back on that Hatch chili fight, because they are full of it. Pueblo chilies are by far superior.
Agreed.
It's not even close. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Great interview. This is coming from 2247. Colorado also has Rockford melons, Olathe corn, lamb. One thing Colorado used to produce in abundance was sugar beets, which was processed into white sugar. We used to buy sugar from Great Western as opposed to cane sugar. What happened to that industry in Colorado? Also, Colorado has wheat fields, Hungarian flowers from Colorado. Any comment on all that?
Got it all. Yeah. So sugar. Let's start there. Our favorite sweet. We used to have a ton of sugar beets, especially up in the northern part of the state, out near Boulder County, Larimer County. Industry suffered quite a bit, partly because of GMO bans in places like Boulder County. All of the sugar beets that we grow are based in different types of crop technology. So we've lost part of the industry there. Also, processing capacity has just been difficult. If anybody's driven out through Fort Morgan and you start to smell that smell, no, it's a sugar beet processing plant that makes you roll your windows up and turn off your outside AC. Yeah, it does not smell good. So the processing capacity that we have in the state has just shrunk over the years. Not as profitable. So our sugar beet guys have moved on to other crops like corn and wheat and other things like that.
I mean, policy really does affect ag. We're talking with the Colorado Farm Bureau. You're welcome to give us a call, 303-696-1971. We do have a call from Frank in Denver. He's got questions about different breeds of cattle in Colorado. Sounds like something you're ready to take on. Go ahead, Frank. Good morning.
Morning, guys. Thanks for having a nice lady like this on
Taylor, I wanted to ask you, what are some of those breeds over there that you see on the western slope that have the heavier coats that are able to stand the winter better?
That's a great question, Frank, and glad you noticed. As a cattle girl myself, that speaks to my heart. So we have to grow a lot of different type of cattle here, particularly in my area of the woods down in the San Luis Valley. A lot of the breeds that we worked with were like Maine Anjou and folks that could, or cattle that could handle high altitude. The western slope cattle that you're thinking of, if you think those really scruffy, really cute Highland cattle that have those big coats. Most of the breeds, though, that we do raise in Colorado, the Highland cattle aren't as big of beef production. We tend to stick towards more Angus crosses. The white cattle you see out on the eastern plains are Charolais, but most of those cattle will grow a thick, warm coat for the winter and then shed it in the summer, just like your dog does.
And how about longhorns? Are longhorns present in Colorado much?
Nope, not unless they're just for fun. Longhorns are actually really hard to raise for meat production because those horns, they get in the way. You can't really work them very well, and the beef themselves isn't necessarily the best kind of beef to eat.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for that.
That was interesting. Thanks,
great
Frank.
call.
Appreciate
it.
Taylor, I want to follow up on that. What about the Highland breed makes it difficult as far as being a meat source? What is it about those cattle where you tend more towards Angus in your experience?
Oh, you guys are speaking my language. Those Highland cattle primarily come from places like Ireland, Scotland, the Highlands, shocker. Sorry if anybody's from there. My geography is off, though, so don't quiz me on that. Those guys, they're just smaller. Their build is smaller. So if you think of like going to a dog show or during Thanksgiving when you're watching those dog shows and you're trying to find the best in breed, right? We do the same thing for cattle. The best meat producing cattle tend to be those black cattle that you see out that are just build muscle really quickly. Those Highland cattle don't get too big. They got a lot of hair, less meat. Talked about big hat no cattle. That's kind of how we feel about Highland cattle, right? Lots of hair, not a lot of meat. You still can eat them. And especially our smaller production guys do that, but they just don't get the marbling as quick, and they just don't quite get as big, so your steak's not quite as big.
Is there a difference in Colorado meat than maybe like Texas meat, those types of things in the cows? I mean, being up in the high altitude, does it change them
Taylor,
at all?
I will hold him while you hit him repeatedly if you want to. Just saying.
I don't know. I'm new to all this stuff. But she brings up marbling. I'm like, does it actually change the meat?
I mean, if I were, I would sit here and talk about how great Colorado cattle are all day long. But to be completely blunt, no, there's not a whole lot of difference. Our ranchers across the country just raise the breeds that are best for their area. And we talk about that a lot in agriculture, that there's not one size fits all for anything that we do, right? We grow different breeds of cattle or different breeds of hogs or lambs. Just based upon where you live. Out here in the West, we do a lot of our ranching out on mountain lands, public lands, working lands, because those lands aren't good for, frankly, anything else in terms of production. When out east, you can do things like plant ryegrass and plant more grass to get those guys growing. So we choose the breeds based upon our climate and based upon our business plans of what our ranchers want to do. So
that's Taylor Szilagyi. She's the Executive Vice President and CEO of the Colorado Farm Bureau, in studio, along with Melissa Weaver, the Director of Communications of the Colorado Farm Bureau. I love, and this is something that I've learned in just coming into this industry, how much the industry is welcoming to new ag. And I bring up issues or experiences like catch a calf at National Western Stock Show, right? If you've never raised a cow, they will give you one. And it's called the Catch a Calf program. You got to be involved in 4-H, all that stuff. And what they do to high school kids is at the National Western Stock Show, you go get your calf. Like they release them into the arena, and then you run around, you grab the one, you get to take it home. For a year, you raise it, you bring it back, you then go through the auction experience, and you get to keep the money. I thought that was like, this is not an industry that's like, no, well, our family's been here for 500 years. You're not welcome into the ag industry. No, it's like, we want you to learn. Here's your own cow.
Yeah, we can't afford to be exclusive. We're less than 2% of the population, and it's part of the reason why I came to work at Farm Bureau. I've got 2 little girls, and there is no better place to raise a family than being in the ag world. Like, my daughter Alice's first pair of cowboy boots came from one of our board members. Like it's just a family, and we talk about that a lot. So glad you feel that too.
Well, and so important to our Colorado economy, as she mentioned, it's the number 2 driver of revenue for the state. $40 billion comes from ag. And even if you're not a member of the ag community, you're not raising stuff, but you want to support them, you support the ag industry through the Colorado Farm Bureau. Go to coloradofarmbureau.com/join today, coloradofarmbureau.com/join. I'm a member of the Colorado Farm Bureau. They're worth supporting. They're out there fighting for property rights, to keep your food affordable, to keeping your food healthy. All of that comes through the Colorado Farm Bureau. That's why they're so important. We're going to continue this conversation because I got to get into water at some point. Oh my gosh, this has been such a fun conversation. We're almost at the top of the hour. I'll get into water next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking farmers and ranchers with the Colorado Farm Bureau. Live in studio with us is Taylor Szilagyi. She's the Executive Vice President and CEO of the Colorado Farm Bureau, along with Melissa Weaver, Director of Communications, taking your calls and text messages about all things ag, which includes both farm and ranchers. I'm a member of the Colorado Farm Bureau, and I encourage you to do it as well. Go to coloradofarmbureau.com/join. Let's go to the phone lines real quick. Brad, Highlands Ranch, got some questions on cattle and pastures.
Well, good morning, everybody. Just a quick question about noxious weeds. That's basically an invasive weed that comes out from Europe or whatever. Pastures. The recommendation is to kill it with a chemical. My question is, does anyone know what this chemical does to our soil? I've asked the state vet, I've asked CSU, I've gotten no reply. What I know is it doesn't leave the soil. It stays there for seed after seed as the grass seeds. And it's usually happening in smaller land lots like 40 or 80 acre lots. I don't think they go after people with 300 because it's just too big. I don't know. But we passed laws in 1990 that says noxious weeds have to go. Therefore, it forces us to kill the weeds with chemicals. And does anyone have any idea what that's doing to our beef and to our,
Good question,
our animals that we love?
Let's go to Taylor.
Yeah, that is a good question. I won't pretend to be a crop or soil scientist, so I'm glad you reached out to CSU. So what I'll say is all those products that they do use and they do recommend have been approved by for that use. Now, what it's doing locally, right? We have to be careful, farmers and ranchers in particular, whenever they put any kind of weed or weed control or pest control technology on their property, have to do it in the right way. So I think you nailed it when you said it's happening on those smaller parcels. They tend to not be folks that are applying it, maybe not be as regulated or as licensed. My recommendation to figure out more is to go to your local extension agent or your local NRCS office, who tend to be in charge of that, and hopefully they can help you figure out more.
Right. Brad, sure appreciate the call. We're running out of time. I want to get to water briefly.
Doozy for last.
Yeah. Give us an update on, the Colorado River Compact. I know that affected water. Farmers and ranchers, how are they doing with water?
Scared. Everybody's really nervous. Drought and severe drought, particularly in the Colorado River Basin, which for your listeners who may not know is the western part of the state. Everybody's really nervous. They're sort of looking at each other. These compact negotiations are sort of closed off, and everyone's not quite sure what they're talking about. You hear this a lot. Agriculture uses 80% of the water. Well, I think it's important for you and your listeners to remember that while agriculture uses 80% of that water, a lot of that water goes back into the earth, right? We're not just drinking it and it goes away. And so as we're having these conversations, agriculture gets really nervous that if there is a call on the compact or policy regulations change, people are going to come after agriculture water. And that affects things like recreation. That affects things like conservation. It affects our ability to grow food, right? And that makes us real nervous.
Yeah. That's Taylor Szilagyi, Executive Vice President, CEO of the Colorado Farm Bureau. A lot of people don't quite understand necessarily how the water thing works. Colorado's the roof of the West, so it all starts here. Then we have to pipe it to the eastern plains in some capacities. California, Arizona want their power too. Oh my gosh, we're already out of time. Oh, we have to have you back. All right, that was wonderful. Go join the Colorado Farm Bureau. They're doing great work. Taylor, well done. Thank you so much. Melissa, thank you for being here as well. If you missed any of it, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. It's almost Friday. Oh.